Hi, I'm Joan Autry, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about cookbooks. A lot of people ask me for advice on cookbooks, and there are a ton of great ones out there. So I'd like to share some of my favorites with you. When I was younger, my mom got me The Joy of Cooking from Marion Rombauer for Christmas, and it was fabulous. I use it still. It's a great reference. There's all sorts of great information in there that I use to this day. Another great one that's very similar is this Good Housekeeping cookbook. You can tell this is a family heirloom by the dog-eared cover. On the inside is a wealth of great information. This one, for example, has information on how to set a table for high tea. Information all of us could use. Many of you have heard from the movie Julie and Julia about Julia Child's great work, Mastering the Art of French Cooking. This is a fantastic cookbook and has all of the wonderful French recipes that we know and love, but it's a little bit daunting for the beginner. Instead, I recommend Julia's Kitchen Wisdom. There's a great deal of information contained inside on great basics like eggs, beef, poultry, pork, and even making a souffle. But it's a lot less daunting than the other book. As you can tell, I use a lot of recipes out of this one as well. Another thing that I really like is a cookbook or a magazine with pictures of what my food is supposed to look like. A great example of this is Cooks Illustrated. I receive this on a quarterly basis as a subscription, but you can also find it at the newsstands. Fantastic thing about this is that this magazine is very true to its word. On the back, for example, of this issue, you have what they call tap roots. These are various roots that are used and referred to as winter vegetables. What's really neat about this is that you've got all of the variety and you know exactly what they're supposed to look like. In addition, there are step-by-step illustrations of everything and every technique that they mention in the magazine. So this really gives you a great idea of how you're supposed to take each step and what it's supposed to look like. In addition, I really love books like this. This is Ina Garten's Back to Basics. This has absolutely luscious photography, and I just want to jump right into the page. In this case, this is maple roasted butternut squash, but every single page is like this, and it really gives you not only ideas about what the food is supposed to look like, but also garnishing tips. And finally, the Food Lover's Companion is a great resource. It's a true encyclopedia that has a listing of just about every kind of cooking term or ingredient that you can think of, and even some you can't. This one is the one that I reach for when watching Top Chef to figure out what the heck they're talking about. But the most important cookbook is the one that you make yourself. This one is a notebook that I keep in my kitchen with notes on everything, what works, what doesn't. This has notes from Thanksgiving and New Year's Eve parties that I've given, what works, what doesn't, recipes I'd like to try, menus that I've done for various events, and I think there's probably some very poorly drawn illustrations of my own in here. But the fun thing about this is that this becomes then the family keepsake in case you're wondering about how Aunt Joan made those potatoes or why Grandma's turkey tastes so fabulous. So you might be wondering, how to amass a collection of cookbooks without going broke, or develop an addiction akin to Imelda Marcos and her 2,700 shoes? Well, I've got a couple of tips for you. Shop your Goodwill, your half-price books, and your rummage sales. You can find some real gems here. Unless you can really see yourself making several of the recipes in the book, don't buy it. You're better off finding the recipe you want online. It makes no sense to buy a book for what will ultimately become just a single recipe. And finally, put the word out to friends and family that you're looking to adopt new books. They may be going through Great Aunt Pearl's garage or their attic and be itching to get these books to new homes. It's a win-win. I remember I just about cried when my friend Becky brought over Sokolov's Saucier's Apprentice and just handed it to me. What a diamond in the rough. It was a classic. And remember, there's nothing more valuable than that cookbook you make on your own. I'm Joan Autry. For more information, check out my website, www.alltothetable.com, or join us in a class, Tutti a Tavola Cooking School, All to the Table, where you can get your PhD in delicious.